The Meridian Art Commission to develop, advance, and nurture all facets of the arts to enhance the quality of life for Meridian residents and its visitors. We are going to open today with roll call. Lizzie Taylor,
Here.
Bridget King,
Here.
Sean Muscolo. Did I say that wrong? Brecken Bird,
Here.
Crystal Paulson here, Patrick O'Leary,
Here.
Bobby Gayton,
Here.
Hannah Scoville. Not here. Vasil.
Here.
Excellent. Okay, so we want to welcome Paxton to the team. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, go Paxton. If you haven't met her, she's really awesome. So give her a hi. And she's working diligently to make us look good. So that's always awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we are moving on to the did you want to say anything? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paxton Hergenroder. If you want, you can call me Paxton Hergy. It's a little easy to remember. I just recently moved here from California after getting my bachelor's in fine arts from UC Davis. And I'm very excited to work with each and every one of you.
Thank you, Paxton. All right, so moving on to the adoption of the agenda. It looks like we need to approve the minutes from March 14th. Any motions?
Madam Chair, I move we adopt the minutes from March 14th.
Lizzie moves
Second.
and Sean seconds. All right, thanks, ladies. And then we need to the approval of the, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay, moving on. Okay, so approval of the monthly financial statement.
Madam Commissioner, I move we approve.
Patrick moves. Lizzie seconds. All right. Now to new business. Recommend artwork for installation on Meridian Transit Stop Shelter, and that's going to be by Cassandra.
On from there. Now I know you can turn it off and on from there. I've never done that. Madam Chair and Commissioners, this project we've been working on for quite a while. I'm really excited. So a committee of stakeholders representing the Arts Commission, Valley Regional Transit, the Development Corporation, the city, and local business owners with interest near both of these transit stops reviewed and scored all 14 applications for the project and met to select 2 artists. And they were really impressed with the overall quality. And they recommended we also retain the next top 5 artists for potential future projects as they are constructed and funding is available. So we will think about that in the future. The 2 artists, though, are Blake Coker and Antonia Hedrick, and these artists have been working to develop their designs and communicating with me and Valley Regional Transit and the fabricator. So these designs have been presented to the stakeholder committee, and there was unanimous and enthusiastic support for both of these projects, for these designs. So this one is Blake Coker's design to go on the 10-mile crossing location. The design shows a journey through time using the shelter and the founders of Meridian. Those founders, it's the husband and wife couple standing there. Those represent the Eliza and Christian Zenger. And he found quite a bit of imagery and some information on that couple. And you can also see there's the iconic Meridian water tower. There's farm workers that's important to the agriculture aspect of Meridian. And the rail car was actually modeled on the rail car that went through Meridian. I think that touches on the important parts. And the original design this was a lot more of a sketch, and so he really worked a lot to develop this one and increase the vibrancy and color to get sort of a full spectrum of colors in there. And there's a lot of themes about transportation. You've also got the biker and the roadway and the car, as well as the trolley car, so kind of goes through history to today. Oh, and the village on the right-hand side, you can see kind of an image of the village. And some people going to that station may have come from the village, so kind of interesting idea about the passageway of that. Second design is Antonia Hedrick. She's an artist that has actually shown at Initial Point Gallery before. And this one features existing imagery of industrial pieces around the railroad track in Meridian, some things from dairies, agriculture, and railroads. There's an interesting contrast of old and new architecture that are just a few blocks away from each other in downtown. And 3 of the 6 panels have open areas to meet the compositional design so that we're able to see the buses. You can also see, I don't know if I can show with the mouse. All the way on the right, it's not very apparent, but that is Meridian City Hall in the corner. The one with the little tiny, not the building that's more forward, but kind of behind, that is actually Meridian City Hall. There's also the Zamzos Mill in there. So assuming that the commission approves these designs moving forward, then these would go into fabrication so installation would probably happen this summer, and then hope that everyone might be able to come to some sort of celebratory unveiling. I did have one thing that was not quite what I anticipated, so I wanted to ask the commission. There's a picture of Commissioner Gaitan in here, because not to pick on you, but that was one of the recently completed ones that was in Caldwell. So that's an example of the materials. That one's a full color, but on the inside, I didn't realize this, but it's gray, because the inside of the material on the full color wraps is gray. So it could either be gray or it could be the transparent material. So you can see on the right, there's some images in St. Luke's. They did this. I think the colors are not as vibrant on the transparent colors, but it would probably help a lot with ridership. So I am looking to get the commission's feedback on which, would you prefer the full color, beautiful, vibrant sort of graphics, but then you have gray inside, or what do you think that more transparent material? I think it's kind of a hard call, but let me know what you think. With that, I'll open it up for discussion on both approval of the designs and feedback on material.
Cassandra, those first 2 were amazing. Those are fabulous. Has there been any question about, can you see through these, the ones that are up now, from the backside?
So Commissioner O'Leary, these are just designs at this point. Maybe I'm not quite understanding your question.
Well, I was just wondering whether there's been any question about, as you're walking by or coming up to the stop, whether people can see if there's anybody in there.
Good question. So that's part of the material that we're using, will be part of that. But you can see in this design, there's the open area for visibility. So all that white space would be transparent. And in this design, all the white space would be transparent. And that would be, Valley Regional Transit asked us to do at least 50% visibility on the sides, so that you could see, particularly on the sides, if there's a rider. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think I was more thinking of the last one you showed us. Is that transparent too?
So the one on the bottom is not transparent at all. And then the ones on the right are transparent, and you can kind of see, and you can see the design from either side.
Cassandra, this is Bobby. My recommendation is to go full color, only because the design itself is like designed already to have that like see-through area. And it just would make those colors pop more, would be my suggestion. Yeah, so my suggestion is full color because the artists have accounted for the visibility already, so.
And do you need a recommendation just on whether, like, do we need to just?
Oh, maybe
approve
this should be a
these
two-step
designs?
process.
Yeah.
Maybe if you wanted to make a motion on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I motion that we approve the designs because I think they're beautiful.
Second, I think they're wonderful too.
All right, are you guys ready?
Other questions?
Are there any other questions? Or are you guys ready to vote?
So Patrick, are you talking about crime danger? What are you talking about?
No, just I mean, from from looking at it from here, it doesn't look like on the backside they're transparent in. So just a question of safety or awareness of people being able to walk up and that comfort zone of knowing that there's somebody in there and being able to see that. If those are transparent, then I have no question at all about it.
So Commissioner O'Leary, I think that's maybe, so the motion and second that I heard was just to approve the designs. And then I think the commission's also going to discuss the material and transparency. And Valley Regional Transit was in favor of full color on the back. So that was their organization's
Okay.
recommendation.
Cassandra, Madam Chair and Commissioners, if Valley Transit says, let's go full color, they are a little bit more experienced in doing these things than we are. So go with the flow. If that's what they recommend, they probably don't recommend it just because it's cute. They recommend it because it's doable and suits their requirements.
Any other comments? All right, so let's go ahead and let's go and approve the designs, right? We approved them already.
So the motion on the floor is the Commissioner Byrd motion to approve the designs, and Commissioner Moscolo seconded that motion.
Okay, so now we're moving towards whether we want see-through or if we
So-
want,
So all those in favor
Oh, okay.
on that motion?
so all those in favor for the full, approving the designs?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, all right, all approved.
And then looking for recommendation on materials or further discussion on.
So we have two options for materials, full color or transparent. The full color does have 50% visibility where the other does not. It's more transparent. So let's put that to discussion.
While I like being able to see from both sides, I don't think it's worth losing the color based on the designs because they were designed with those vibrant colors. So I agree, just I would do it as they recommend.
I concur.
Are we ready for a vote? Yep. Okay, so let's move to do full color.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, I move that we adopt we have already adopted the design that we go for the full color rendition of the design as suggested by Valley Regional Transit.
Madam Chair, I second that.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 So Lizzie moved and Vasil seconded and all favored. All right. Thank you, Cassandra. All right. So next is a recommendation to apply for the Smithsonian exhibit Voices and Votes at Initial Point Gallery by Lizzie Taylor.
Hi there, me again. All right, I hope and presume that most or all of you have read the material that came with the memo that was attached to this item in the agenda. Okay, so I'll just do a very brief recap. Essentially, this is an opportunity to apply for a Smithsonian exhibit to come to Initial Point Gallery in 2025. And Cassandra is willing, able, and planning to apply for this with the approval of this commission, not the city council, not anybody else. Meridian Arts Commission, this group right here, right now. Okay. We have applied for this in the past. In 2022, we were not selected, but the Idaho Humanities Council, not in writing, but in kind of a hush-hush, wink, wink, wink nod, indicated that this particular exhibit, which is about voting and voting rights and things like that, we could be a good match for that because where we exhibit our art is also a place where voting takes place. Initial Point Gallery, as you well know, is located on the third floor of Meridian City Hall, which is where a lot of people who live in Meridian come to vote. Okay. The selection process will end by, I think, the end of July. So we probably won't know for a while after that if we have been selected. So I know that you're questioning the scheduling. Initial Point Gallery and my erstwhile subcommittee will work with Cassandra, who will work with, should we be selected, the Idaho Humanities Council to schedule the exhibit at Initial Point. And this is a traveling exhibit and it goes on for a really long time, a good portion of the year 2025. So if we get it, and I hope we do because I think it would be wonderful, certainly garner a lot of publicity for Initial Point Gallery, which is a wonderful thing. Don't worry about the scheduling, the who's, the whys, the wherefores, the hows. That will be taken care of. It's doable, but we want this. And it has to be applied for by city staff. It is not something that the Arts Commission applies for. This is done by city staff. So does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have one question, which is this fits into the space?
Yes.
Okay.
And if it doesn't fit into the space, we'll make it fit into the space. No, I mean, this is not, the thrust of this traveling exhibit is to bring the exhibit to smaller rural communities. So we're not talking the 10th floor of the Guggenheim. I mean, we're talking in, some fairly limited spaces. So to answer your question, yes. Cassandra?
I believe they require 1,000 square feet to be
Oh.
available. We have about 2,500 square feet.
Thank you for the clarification. Any other questions? Okay, Cassie, what do we do? Do we make okay, so what we need, and I can't do it because I just can't, we need a motion to allow city staff to apply for the traveling Smithsonian exhibit that is being put together by the Idaho Humanities Council.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we had Sean move and Patrick second and all approved. Done. All right, next on the agenda is updates to the Meridian City Code by Emily.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Emily Kane. I'm a deputy city attorney with the city attorney's office, and I provide legal support to the commission and to Cassandra and also the whole Parks and Rec Commission. So I'm here today to talk to you about these proposed updates to the Meridian City Code, specifically Title II, which contains the provisions that pertain to commissions. So you had in your packet the full deal, everything that will go into these changes. I'm pulling it up right now. So my plan is to kind of go over the big picture. So start big and zoom in, and then just kind of go over, not necessarily line by line, but hit the highlights of the code updates and kind of go over how that will affect the Arts Commission. So. Arrow key? Arrow key's not working. Oh, thank you. Okay. So the reason we're doing this is because the citywide strategic plan for 2021 to 2025 contains a goal, and this is actually the only goal that the legal department is taking the lead on, interestingly. We're typically in a supporting role, but this one is specifically for us. So we're to update ordinances and simplify processes in order to improve effectiveness and provide premier services to our citizens. So we're doing a complete review of the entire city code, starting from 1 and going all the way to, we have 13, though some are blank. So we don't actually have 13 titles, but we do have Title II, which pertains to commissions. Oh, next slide, please. This is a list. Oh, my formatting didn't come through. It has super cute font, so just imagine it looks better than this. But so this is a list of what we do have, and as you can see, I've been working on this for a while, and 2 are done. Although I gave myself credit for Title 11 just because there's a different procedure for updating the Unified Development Code. That's planning and zoning. And the traffic code, Title VII, is the big success story. We got all the way through that. So I'm starting with 1. I'm going a little bit out of order, but 1 is underway. Title I, that's the kind of city administration, how things work, city council. That's in the hopper, as is Title III, close to Title IV. And Title II is done, and I'm just right now presenting 2 commissions. Next slide, please. Title II, again, contains all the information about commissions, the Arts Commission, and then all your fellow commissions. There are other titles that talk about bodies within kind of sub-agencies within the city, the Compensation Committee, Districting Committee, and Impact Fee Advisory Committee are, right now, they're in other titles. The plan is to bring them all together in Title II, and to also address these longstanding kind of ad hoc membership bodies that we have, including the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, I think it's called Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition, and the Senior Advisory Board. So the idea is to bring everyone under one umbrella to have more consistency and clarity. Next slide, please. So some things get repeated over and over again for each commission, and the idea is to bring them into an overarching beginning. This applies to everybody in this kind of family of commissions. And then from there, take each commission's language and update that to reflect your current functions. A lot of the language, especially for Arts Commission, is pretty outdated. This will help clarify the roles and responsibilities, staff and commissions. And for for me largely to help clarify how we apply the open meetings laws and public records laws and governmental ethics laws. And finally, we're trying to bring uniformity in how everything is written and how it's structured for each commission. Next slide, please. So today I'm on the first little bubble here. I'm updating commissions. It's your turn to hear my spiel. After that, I'll go to city council and talk to them about this. And I guess I should tell you, I have already talked to the mayor about this draft. So this is sort of the internal draft that we're planning to take to city council. And then the last step is city council would adopt the ordinance. So now I'm going to turn to the draft that I sent you and kind of go over hit the highlights of that. So you see it starts out with the advisory commission's provisions, and that's the umbrella that I was talking about. And my mouse is not functioning. Oh, here we go. Got it. Awesome. Okay. So the greater plan is we'll have advisory commissions, which is you and Historic Preservation, Solid Waste Advisory Commission, Transportation Commission, statutory commissions, which are established pursuant to state code, like the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Impact Fee Advisory Committee, the ad hoc committees that I mentioned, which are they're either standing committees with fluid membership, or we convene them as needed. Like we once had a dog park committee or a UTV committee. And then standing committees, which are, it's called the Assessments Review Committee, is actually our only one. So when people have questions or concerns about their water bill, that's the board that hears that. Here's those concerns. So some of this is already in the city code, but I'm reworking it to be specific to advisory commissions. Let's see. A lot is covered by state code that's already in there, so we're crossing that out, starting with the reference to the open meetings laws. I consolidated a lot of things, reworded, again, uniformity, and I moved provisions regarding bylaws, chair and vice chair, annual report, all the things that commissions have in common. I moved to this first umbrella section. I also added some clarifications for commissioners, like volunteer commissioners cannot enter into contracts, which all of this is already true, but it's just codifying it for posterity in city code. Commissioners can't apply for grants. Commissioners can't go onto private property. Really, technically, we'd need either permission or sometimes a warrant. So if you feel that you need a warrant, please come see me. I don't think you will. Right, I'm going to move down page 2. Let's see. Oh, this first part I wanted to highlight, C7 talks about which bodies are subject to Title 74, which is the transparent and ethical government provisions of the state code, open meetings, public records, governmental ethics. So advisory commissions like the Arts Commission, as you know, you're subject to the open meetings law. You are and always have been subject to the Idaho Public Records Act and the Idaho Ethics and Government laws. So as a sub-agency of City Council, you have responsibilities to comply with these laws. And if you ever have questions, feel free to talk to me about that. We've done a little training and I can always do more. Let's see, the redundancy I was referring to, this makes it uniform for all advisory commissions regarding how appointments happen, how many people are on each commission, the minimum age, except for our youth commissioners. It clarifies that commissioners are always volunteers, uncompensated. I won't read these all to you, but just kind of the housekeeping stuff is now all of the same for all advisory commissions. Not really any changes for you. You're doing great in that regard. Let's see, I'm gonna keep going down to your specific section. So each advisory commission's code now talks about establishment. So why is the commission established and how? Duties and powers, what do you do? What are you authorized to do? Qualifications, which is the who can serve, and then when do you meet? I reworded some of this to make it hopefully a little more clear. Rolling down, so the meat of each commission's code is really your duties and powers. The Arts Commission has a long history. At one time, we did not have Cassandra or anyone like her, and there's kind of this evolution over time of how we came to have her. That's our great fortune. At one time, you had absolutely no one. Then the commission had me, which was pathetic for your administrative needs. So I was doing a lot of event planning and coordinating, and I think I did okay, but that's definitely not my strong suit. So eventually we had a part-time person who also served human resources and IT and the Arts Commission. So that was odd, but it worked. We eventually did get a full-time staff person who served the Arts Commission. And I believe Cassandra is the third, possibly fourth in line, certainly just fantastic qualifications and really is doing an amazing job to support you and bring arts into the city in a very real way, in a very professional way. So I tell you that story because a lot of these provisions that we're crossing out are vestiges of a time when you had no one. So really, the Arts Commission was the arts department of the city. Other commissions have evolved in that same way. The Parks Commission used to be the only parks department that we had, and now we have a thriving internal parks department. But to that end, there were some provisions that allowed the commission to apply for grants, to go directly to city council, to spend money, to hire employees, to enter into contracts, and probably then too, but at this point that really would be a problem. We don't have volunteers buying things on behalf of the city or hiring people, and other commissions from other agencies, not the city of Meridian, luckily, have not had the issues with this, but other cities have. So this is a way to bring you into the way you currently operate and reflect what is really happening. I did add a provision to mention the maps, or I'm sorry, the strategic plan, because the MAPS funds are tied to your strategic plan. So it needs to be listed in your strategic plan in order for you to spend MAPS money on it. So that is one reason that I added the strategic plan, just to bolster the MAPS provision. There were a few things that are now Cassandra's role. I guess that's similar to what I just said. She does a lot of the budgeting and the planning. Certainly the Arts Commission's expertise and input is vital to that process, and this really focuses on your role as the subject matter experts and the the citizens of Meridian and how that is reflected in the arts. So your expertise is what we are really focusing on in this iteration. I think that's the end. I'll finish with this. I took out some information that is already the law, the open meetings laws, which again, you are subject to that. And we have a whole system to keep all the commissions compliant. So we took out some of that language, or at least moved it to that umbrella section. I think I'm done. Does anyone have any questions? All right. Well, let me know if you think of any. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. All right. Moving on to old business, we're going to do a recap of Discovery Park public art projects with Cassandra.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, I just wanted to sort of recap all of these projects because they've been that sort of the major public art projects that we've been working on. I hope you don't mind if I do it a little less formally over from here than the podium. So there was the ribbon cutting for the park, but they weren't all quite complete. So I think this is a nice time to sort of check them all out. And also, I just want to note that, our MAPS funds, this is kind of one of the purpose of it carrying forward is so that we can do larger projects like this and sort of save up for a bigger project. So Discovery Park sort of saved up so that we could create multiple pieces in Discovery Park. So the hawk benches by, and the trout benches by Colin Selig that were installed at the basketball courts, they are made from repurposed salvage steel propane tanks and still have all of their weld seams, fitting ports, and ID tags. And hopefully they can help inspire other people to consider new ways to reuse materials. The Peregrine bike racks were installed last week. So there's 2 sets of these, and so they're 5 pieces together, and then you can kind of see the middle one is like the upper body of a peregrine falcon, and this is the wings and the tail. And they're inspired by Idaho's official state raptor, the peregrine falcon, and feature the colors of the peregrine falcon. The whole ball game piece celebrates playing softball and baseball and involves, all of these pieces involve the idea of exploration, learning, and discovery. This one kind of, you encounter these funny shapes in the beginning, and then if you get right to the right viewpoint, then it'll come together and make the image of a ball player. And this was just installed, yay! This is the final piece by Steve Parker. Uses reclaimed brass marching band instruments, and to interact with it, you the bottom bells, you place your ear against it. It sounds a little bit kind of like a seashell. It doesn't amplify the outside sound like really loud, but it's about it's more subtle and a reminder to be present and appreciate the sounds around us. So those are all the pieces. Yay! Congratulations, everyone. We're glad that all of those are installed.
Excellent. That's really beautiful. I've heard a lot of people comment about that park and how amazing it is. So you guys pat yourself on the back. All right, so back to reports, staff updates with Cassandra, Chateau Park.
Ah, it's me again. Okay. Chateau Park. So the stakeholder committee met, and they were supposed to meet again, but the artist needed a little bit more time to develop those proposals. So we'll be meeting later this month. I think it's not this upcoming Monday, but in 2 weeks to review his proposals. So that's where we're at for the Chateau Park, and that's a stakeholder committee of neighborhood people and the HOA, some arts commissioners, and some parks and rec commissioners. Update on performing arts projects. So I'm still working through some of the agreements with some of the organizations. Grants management is no small task, and it seems that some of the organizations, anyway, we're figuring out some of those. But you'll see in front of you, you all had a poster for the Idaho Fine Arts Academy one. That event is coming up. If you're able to support them and go to that event, that would be great. Sean and Paxton and I and our marketing coordinator went to sort of an event that they do for their school. Commissioner Muscolo, do you want to talk about it?
It was actually really excellent. I was impressed with the quality of the work. It was really spectacular. If you have a chance to go to what I would consider an extremely inexpensive performance at Centennial Performing Arts Center, please do. It was fabulous. Some of these kids have been flamencoing since they were little kids. And everybody else was a ballet dancer. It was amazing.
They thanked us profusely and were mentioned in the marketing release. You'll see the Arts Commission is on their poster. And so really it felt like that contribution is very valued by this organization. So And then the other ones are happening a bit later in the year, still working with the Meridian High School bands and Treasure Valley Children's Theater. Next update, so media releases. So we had the gallery show and then also the Tammy DeVeert's call for nominations and the Initial Point Gallery call for artists. So lots of things out there. So just ask the commissioners if you know of anyone for the nominations, please nominate someone. And if you know of anyone that might be good for the gallery, please pass that on to them. We also have a contact list that Commissioner Taylor so wonderfully worked on all of those. So we'll send it to those organizations directly and some of the past people that have shown at the gallery. But if there's anyone in particular that you think, man, I'd really love to see their work at Initial Point Gallery, please pass that on.
Cassandra, question, are Initial Point Gallery exhibits restricted or limited to just Idaho artists, or can they be from around the region?
Madam Chair, Commissioner O'Leary, good question. It's not restricted to Idaho artists. Some of the logistics sometimes become difficult for people in transportation, but if outside artists applied, they could certainly be considered in the regular jury process, yes.
Question for Madam Chairman and Commissioners. I believe that we state in any call to artists or any acceptance agreement that the city of Meridian does not pay for getting here or getting home or eating while you're here or where you sleep. That's all on the artist. That has to be made. We need to understand that. We don't pay for the who, what, when, where, why, and how.
Madam Chair, we for the Public Art Committee, we met and we reviewed the public art work plan. We welcomed two members, Brecken Bird and Bridget King. We discussed this work plan and we provided that were provided by Signs ETC, discussed future projects. We clarified some things about maps funding private murals. We we just talked about some past and present projects, and we just updated our newest members on some of those projects. We then discussed the Linder Overpass project. We reviewed roster of current artists and options for artist selection process, and we came up with a motion to request proposals for 3 local artists on this roster for the Linder Overpass Public Art Project. We motioned to request for Trademark Creative and Ken McCall and Stephanie Inman for this project. And so I think that after that discussion, we agreed and we motioned and we all agreed that those 3 were a good place for these projects. We then discussed and make recommendations on how to receive unsolicited public art proposals and requests for funds. And we discussed the pros and cons of these unsolicited proposals. Mainly the concern with giving opportunities to artists without making that opportunity available to all. So we recommended for staff to work on a proposal guide for unsolicited public artwork proposals for up to $5,000. And we agreed on that and we all voted and we said yes. We discussed commemoration of peregrine bike racks and fanfare sculpture, and we discussed just identifying public spaces for future projects, and that's it. It was lots to catch up on, and we welcome these new members, and we look forward to working with everyone this year. Thanks.
Thanks, Bobby. I just had a clarifying question. So do you get a lot of people applying for stuff that we haven't put anything out for? Like artists applying for, is that what you were saying, or am I misunderstanding?
Sometimes for the unsolicited like proposals, yeah, we have community folks that sometimes in the past have come up with great ideas, maybe for a project in their community or around the city, and uh, they sometimes come up with just the idea. Other times they come up with every little detail on what it takes. We, we thought it'd be fair that we do welcome these ideas because they're great and all ideas are welcome, but the process just seems more fair if we offer that to everyone. And so this guide that we propose would allow for everyone to submit these ideas considering these criterias that we'll have on this guide.
So if it was approved, would that be something that you would do yearly?
So, Madam Chair and Commissioners, if I could jump in for that. As Commissioner Gaitan says, yes, I do actually receive a fair number of people for everything from a $50,000 bronze sculpture to they want to do a mural, but they don't have a location. There's a fair number of people with ideas. And I also have to admit, before I was in such a role, I was that person asking the public art manager in Boise, hey, we should do some bike racks. Hey, what do you think about this? And they just don't understand the whole background of it. So I think to make this a little bit, and instead of just saying no, but we do have a work plan. And so that's kind of the first answer is we have a work plan and we have a budget and projects are budgeted for through that. And if we have an opportunity that we identify, then we release it through an open call to artists for everyone to apply for. But that being said, maybe it sounds like the committee doesn't want to shut the door on potentially good ideas, but they would have to be added to the work plan for future years. So at this point, it would be 2027 for projects. And if they're a larger dollar amount, then they should be released to a wider call. So that's what the committee talked about was like projects up to maybe $5,000. And various cities handle this different ways. I talked to a couple of their colleagues and they said a lot of them say, just know we don't, all projects are developed within the internally and they just don't accept any unsolicited calls. But maybe that's an opportunity we can provide. I think this is going to take a long time for me to work on something, but I do have an example through the Parks and Rec department actually has a whole proposal guide because they have a lot of people wanting to partner on things too. And so it kind of the applicant would need to come up. It kind of puts some of the burden of work on the applicant rather than I have an idea for a mural. So they'd be required to what is the budget? Where is it going to be? Because we can only fund projects that are on public property. Do you have permission of the property owner? Who would be involved? And sort of, they'd have to put together more of a proposal and answer some of those questions. And then it would be like the initial point gallery call where they would be considered once a year. But again, they would be considered for putting on the public art work plan for, 3 or 4 years down the road. That's kind of what that looks like. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, it does.
Thanks for clarifying.
Just one question. Will those be on an ongoing basis or will there be a timeline like twice a year that people can submit to you or to the committee when an application process can take place?
Commissioner O'Leary, I envision this kind of like the initial point gallery call where it's open all year, but then would be considered once during the year.
Very creative. Thank you, guys. All right, so initial point gallery update with Lizzie Taylor.
Hi, it's me again. First of all, before we get to some of the other stuff, I want to thank Paxton very much for getting out the call for Initial Point Gallery. It's always a big deal getting a call out. I'd also like to thank the people, both who are in this room and who are not in this room, for the superlative job of hanging this particular exhibit, because I'll tell you, some of the Fred Choate pieces are absolutely humongous and they weigh a ton. I mean, they're really, really heavy. I don't know what this guy paints on, but it's like MDF. Some of these things are as big as an average studio apartment. I mean, they are really, really big and heavy. Okay, so the current exhibit is called Stillness in the West, and it's very beautiful. It's very traditional. Bailey Miller, Fred Choate, whose things are so huge and ornately framed and beautiful, Paul Gleason and Rick Jenkins. The opening was on April 2nd. Sean, how many people did we have?
I counted 75.
Ooh, excellent. That, very, very good. The more we get, the more people we get at these openings, the more our existence as a gallery is, well, not guaranteed, but it's, the more we have, the better it is. Okay, the upcoming exhibit, which is probably one of the best during the year because it is youth, it is students. And I will tell you, when a few of us were at West Ada School District last week judging the art, we did the judging for the art for traffic boxes. Okay. Paxton, did you have a question?
No, I was just moving the mic out of the way.
Waving. I think the emphasis on youth art is incredibly important. One of the great things about this exhibit is that it is the least willy-nilly in terms of framing because all of the pieces are exactly the same size. Some are horizontal, some are vertical, but they're all in black frames. So it doesn't look like the back room of some warehouse blew up. Okay, just my personal, because I'm picky about stuff like that. Anyway, their exhibit is traditionally called Framed. It's going to open on the 7th of May. Hannah Scoville will be the host, but I would encourage, implore, pray that all of you can show up and help Hannah co-host. This is a big deal. Speaking of other big deals, I will be at the Meridian Senior Center on the 29th of April at what is called a partner table, which is a 4-foot or 6-foot long table by the front door. And you freeze to death when you sit there, but you go at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then right at the end of lunch, or maybe at the beginning, we'll work it out, I have about 2 minutes to talk about Initial Point Gallery and the importance to the community and what all. But the timing of it is very important because we'll have time between my presentation and the opening of the exhibit to get people who are interested in coming from the senior center, all of whom are grandparents and they love art done by students. So that just got put together. That costs a grand total of $35 for about 3 hours of me talking to hundreds of people. So, you know, you're getting a good deal there. Okay, so hanging in the senior center. Any questions? And again, Paxton, thanks for getting the call out. Yes,
I wondered how many pieces are we expecting for the student show? Anyone know?
you know, I don't know.
I think they said 60 when we were there the other day. So, and Cassandra said that was pretty typical.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have that information. So 60-ish, but it's a great show. It really is. And the kids love the fact that their art is hanging. Oh, Grandma, look at this. I mean, it's really cute interaction. The kids absolutely love it. And naturally, because of Cassandra's urging, we were the first entity there. So we got the choice of giving Meridian Arts Commissions awards. Now, there's a Mayor's Award, an Eagle Mayor Award, Chamber of Commerce Award, but they don't like a given piece of art to get more than one award. I think so. We got the cream of the crop, and by gosh, we chose really, really well. Thank you.
Thank you, Lizzie. All right, so next is the events and outreach update by Crystal Paulson. That's me. So we are working diligently for Art Week and planning classes. I don't remember if I mentioned last time, but we do have pretty much booked our writing class that we did last year. So she's willing to come back. And then we are also partnering potentially with the Watercolor Society. And they're thinking of putting on a class. So that's still in the process. Their idea, which I think is brilliant, is a grandparent and grandchild class. Okay, that speaks to my heart, people. So fingers crossed that everything goes ahead with that, and I'm excited about that. And then, of course, we have openings for the Tammy DeVeard Award in the arts. And so if you know of anyone that should be nominated for that, that's up and going. And if you know of anyone that should teach a class, or if you want to teach a class during Art Week, let us know, because hey, the more we have of quality, the better we can give back to the community. So, all right. So next is our inclusivity highlight, Mixed Media Madness with Vasil. By the way, I really enjoy your title on that.
Cassandra, could we make that full screen? Thank you. All right, Madam Chair, Commissioners. So this month's inclusivity highlight is Mixed Media Madness by myself, Vasil Ivanov. And I titled it that because mixed media is madness and madness is fun. All right. So what is it? The Tate Museum says mixed media is a term used to describe artworks composed from a combination of different media or materials. And I think that's really why I love it, because there's variance in color, texture, feel. It really is, could be a type of medium that, enhances all the senses if you get creative enough. Some materials include paint, acrylic oil, watercolor, anything like that. Collage elements, cutouts from magazines, newspapers, photographs, but it is more fun to tear them out instead of cut them out from my experience. Found objects, this is really fun. Everyday items such as fabrics, textiles, papers, wood, metal, etc. One thing I like to do is dig around in the pockets of my pants or jacket and pull out random receipts or little candy wrappers and collage those in. Text, handwriting, printed text, newspaper clippings, etc. That's always fun. You could, enhance an artwork by writing a powerful word down or something like that that really, speaks to what you're trying to represent. Ink, pen, marker, calligraphy, etc. Charcoal, graphite, pastels, fabric. I've also used fabric before, which is a lot of fun. Textiles, cloth, fabric scraps, wood, metal, glass, clay, mixed media techniques, layering, stamping, stenciling, decoupage, I believe is that last one. So as you can see, there's very little limit to the madness. All right, in the beginning, and I will showcase some of my favorite artists that were instrumental in making mixed media art very popular. So Pablo Picasso was actually one of the first modern examples. His collages, his cubism collages were very popular, and they really grew in popularity amongst artists since the materials are usually cheap and cost is low and easy to create. Something else about mixed media work is the accessibility behind it. So other famous artists like Henri Matisse, when he was bedridden after surgery from cancer and he was unable to paint canvases anymore, he discovered that cutting shapes and painting them from the convenience of his bed or wheelchair still allowed him to remain creative and explore color, form, and composition. And some of his most famous works are actually his cutouts. And another one of my favorites, Jean-Michel Basquiat. So he started off doing graffiti on the streets of New York in underrepresented neighborhoods. And as as he grew in popularity, he really embraced mixed media in his work, blending paint, collage elements, found objects, and text. And, you know, he really challenged traditional boundaries and explored themes of underrepresented communities, identity, and social commentary. So this is my favorite work of his. It's called Untitled, and at the time it sold, I believe in 2017, it was the highest selling work by an American artist of all time. And I had the pleasure to see it at the Seattle Art Museum. I think it sold for over $100 million to a collector in Japan. And that's another example of mixed media artwork that maybe was inexpensive to make, but ended up selling for a lot of money one day. And community. So mixed media, you know, since it incorporates so many different elements, communities are able to build artwork together. That's something I really appreciate about it. I actually looked around online to find cool examples, and the National Art Gallery of the Bahamas, which is where my next vacation will be, they have a mixed media summer camp where folks could attend a summer camp and work on art projects with you know, with members of their community. And part of the article had a quote that I really appreciated, and I'll read that for you. Art teaches us that we could all look at the same object and express completely different perspectives, and that sometimes there are no right answers. It compels us to feel the discomfort of a never before attempted lesson, work through that mask making, sculpture building, or painting project, all the way to its eventual conclusion, and even in that discomfort, commit to a new way or approach to completing the task. It is in the discomfort that we grow. And I think as fellow artists, you could all relate to that. One of my favorite local examples is in Boise's Freak Alley Gallery, where Commissioner Gaitan also has a wonderful mural. Check it out if you haven't already. But it's the Jimi Hendrix artwork with the poem. I think the artwork is titled Mirrors. And so basically the portrait of Jimi Hendrix is made using shards of mirrors. And the cool thing about it is from different angles, different types of day, different light, it really changes its the way it looks. So it's really a special artwork. And one more quote, because I really like quotes that resonate, is layer by layer, art strips life bare. And, you know, mixed media collage is so many layers that I really feel represent all the many layers to everyone's life, if you will. So it's easy. I encourage you to try it tonight or this weekend or whenever. So grab paper or canvas. One of my favorite things to do is grab a piece of cardboard box and just rip it and those rough edges, and that becomes your canvas. Some Mod Podge, Elmer's glue, or whatever other adhesive you have, paints and inks, and just splash around, make a mess, and have a good time. Thank you. Any questions? All right, appreciate it.
Thank you, Vasil. That was very entertaining. All right, so that is the end of our listed agenda. Do we have any motions to close?
Madam Chair and Commissioners, I move we close the meeting.
Lizzie moves and, sorry. And Bridget closes. Thank you. Seconds, sorry. All in favor?
I
I
Any opposed? Okay.